Bose discusses the disease theory of alcoholism, the general theory of addiction, and the medical model of drug treatment, drug addiction treatment. Ultimately, what all three of these views or theories have in common is that they see addiction, whether it's drug addiction or some other kind of addiction, like shopping addiction, they see addiction as outside of the control, the control of the addict themselves, right? So let's focus on the disease theory of addiction for a second. The disease theory of alcoholism. According to this theory, alcoholism is a disease. It's a medical condition that is not within the control of the alcoholic, of the addict themselves. Generally, it's thought that this disease of alcoholism is somehow genetic or inherited, right? The addict, the alcoholic, does not choose to be an alcoholic. Rather, they are caused or forced to be an alcoholic by their genetics. Hence, they should not be held individually responsible for their addiction or any choices that are related to that addiction, because ultimately that addiction is outside of their control. That disease is outside of their control. The same would be said for any kind of addiction according to the general theory of addiction. Shopping addiction is outside of the control of the addict. The addict does not freely choose to be an addict. Rather, they are suffering from some kind of condition, maybe a medical condition, again, which is outside of their control. Because these addictions and these diseases are outside of the control of the addict, the medical model of treatment says that we should rehabilitate addicts in a medical setting rather than punish them in some kind of legal or judicial setting, right, in a retributive way. Because the addiction and the disease is outside of the control of the addict, we should help them, rehabilitate them, get them to be better in terms of their health and their decision making, and not punish them for something that was outside of their control, in which they, could not have changed potentially. So that is a series of views that form a movement in our society. And according to Bose, that is a movement away from individual responsibility. Again, what all of these views and theories and models have in common is that they see addiction, and in our case, particularly drug addiction, as outside of the control of the user, of the addict. And Bose wants to argue that ultimately we need to be doing the opposite and shifting toward individual responsibility.